Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we're going over UFC 309, Jones versus Miocic. First things first, make sure you smash that like button. Give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok, wherever there's social media. There's the Stats and Stacks podcast. It was a interesting week last week. We did lose a lock, not physically, but because fight got canceled because of Ricky Tercios yet again. We lost a dog, not physically, but because I can't remember who. Cody Garbrandt had to pull out. So it is what it is. Our lock that was remaining did hit, which was nice. Overall profitable week. We should have had that glory play. We had Jillian Robertson plus 2,800, the TKO round three, and she was so close on so many attempts, but it is what it is. Profitable week, can't complain. Move on to the next week. A lot of people are hyped for this card. It's all right. It's very, very, very top heavy. And usually I don't care as long as they're exciting fights underneath. They're all right. These aren't, it's not my cup of tea in regards to it being a pay per view. We got a little spoiled with UFC 300, 301. 303 was good. 308 was good. Like, we've had a lot of good cards as of late. So it's a little weak for a numbered card, but again, a card is a card. I will watch anything you put in front of me. So, especially if we're making money. We lost a few fights already on this card. There's only 12 fights now. But we're in the Mecca. We're in Madison Square Garden, and we're here to try to make some money. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the very first fight of the night. We're looking at Veronica Hardy at minus 155 going up against Eduarda Moira at plus 130. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 340, under 2.5 plus 240. Allergies still whooping my ass. I think it's the flu. So if I'm all nasally and shit, just ride with me. Let's start with Veronica Hardy, aka Veronica Mercedo. We all know she got married to Dan Hardy. She's 29 years old. She has very good striking. She kind of blitzes in and out and counters a ton. She's very quick. Usually a little smaller. She fought at 125 a few times, dropped down to 115, which is a much better weight class for her. She's very, very physically strong. She talks about all the weightlifting she does, but she's still a smaller girl for the weight class. Part of the reason she's struggling in regards to wrestling, she has 60% takedown defense, is because of just her size. She can get bullied at times, hence her trying to get stronger, hence her training with her husband, Dan Hardy, nonstop. And she has looked much better ever since she became Veronica Hardy. She hasn't lost. Like, she is on a 3-fight losing streak. Wins against Jamie Lynn Horth is okay. Wins against Juliana Miller isn't exciting, and wins against JJ Aldridge is okay. So I mean, I can't fault her. They're giving her a certain level of competition, and she's handling business. Her jujitsu's okay. Her cardio's okay. But ultimately, she is a striker. She blitzes in and out like Robert Whitaker. I mean, has some pretty decent counters on her. And again, 60% takedown defense. She has gotten stronger. She has gotten better training. It has improved. But again, she's just a smaller girl. And when she does get taken down, the concern is that she plays guard. She is not one that automatically does everything. It's very urgent to get back up to her feet. She'll try to lock in an arm bar. I've seen her go for reverse triangles. It's just not a lot of urgency to get back up as a striker. She just wants to kind of play guard a little and show you how good her ground game is. It can work against some girls. I know she arm barred Polyana Viana, but it's not going to work against someone like Mara. Mara, that is her bread and butter. She is female Gelatin Almeida. Name of the game: get you down to the ground and then get a little ground and pound. That's what she wants to do all day, every day. She's 30 years old. And unlike Hardy, where we're saying she's a little smaller for the weight class, Mara's too big for the weight class. She has not made weight the last two weigh ins. So make sure you keep an eye on if this fight even occurs. She's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. She has really good jiu-jitsu, a very solid top game, okay wrestling. I've only seen her go for singles and doubles. That's tougher being a much taller girl than everyone else. Usually you would utilize like throws and body locks, use that leverage with you being so much taller. It's harder to get underneath the shorter fighter. But we'll see. Sometimes she also just slinks on to the back. Like she doesn't even get a takedown. She will just kind of shuck your shoulder and then get behind you and just throw a leg in while standing up because she's so tall. So she'll find a way to your back. She'll find a way to drag you down because she can't really strike. Her striking's not good at all. And she can't fight for a long period of time. She does slow down in her fights. Very low volume when she is standing. She likes to pressure forward, but that's just to get that takedown. She is literally female Jailton Almeida. She trains with him, fights exactly like him. Her wins are a little questionable, I will be honest. She lost to Denise Gomes in a split decision loss. I thought Denise Gomes won clearly. It was a split. It is what it is. But outside of Denise Gomes, she's not fighting the best level of competition. Montserrat Conejo Ruiz isn't great. And then the girl in contender series was hopeless, and then she fought a whole bunch of soccer moms on the regional scene. So she does not have any good wins on her record, and she's only gone to decision once, and she lost a split decision. I can see this one going to a split. To be honest with you, I think Mara absolutely mauls Veronica round one. She could get the finish. This under is very live at plus 240, but if this thing continues to play out, I do think that that Mara's in a little bit of trouble because Hardy's cardio, she can go a hard 15 minutes. Mara will slow down and get picked apart in the third round. So I think it's Mara round one, and she may finish her round one. I think it's Hardy round three if it makes it that far. And round two's up in the air. This has split written all over it. But I can also see Mara getting that finish, and she's the dog. So that's going to make me lean dog or pass. The pick is going to be Eduardo Mara. The bet's going to be on Mara Wara. She's coming off her first career loss. She's looking to get that done back. Next fight of the night is one that I don't want to be confident in, but I don't really have a choice. We have Omen Elliott minus 245 going up against Basil Hafez at plus 200. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 270. Under 2.5 at plus 200. Let's start with Basil Hafez. He is someone who is on the East Coast. He has some New York roots, some Jersey roots. He fought in CFFC, which is in Jersey and New York a lot. He's just an East Coast guy, so he will have the crowd behind him. He's 32 years old. He has good jujitsu. He can't really strike, but he does hit decently hard. His wrestling's pretty solid. His power's pretty solid. But when he is on the feet, he is a little hittable, to be honest with you. His cardio's not good. He does have a tendency to slow down in his fights. He's very hittable when he is on the feet. 50% takedown defense. Now, a lot of that is when he's absolutely just dog shit tired. It's not like people are just going out and taking him down right away. He's a short, compact stature. He just gets so tired that it's easier to take him down later on in fights. But he has fought a good level of competition, even on the regional scene. Mickey Gall, not so much. But he did fight Jack Della Maddalena. Evan Kutz is pretty solid. He fought who am I thinking of? He fought Jeremiah Wells on the regional scene, who's a pretty solid fighter. He fought Evan Kutz twice. So again, he fought some pretty decent fights on the regional scene, and then Anthony Ivy, and then of course in the UFC fighting Jack Della. So he's fought some good level of competition. Problem with him again is his cardio and the fact that he's a little bit of an Usman chin. He's never been KO'd, but I've seen him rocked in multiple fights. Evan Kutz had him on skates. Mickey Gall had him on skates twice. That's the most concerning one. Jack Della had him on skates. Like this dude is just surviving a lot of these fights. But a lot of these fights, the reason he just needs to survive is because he already banked round one. Dude starts hot, he starts fast. He's an overall pretty decent fighter. It's just he's a little chinny and has bad cardio, really, and he's not really a good striker. If he can't just out grapple you and he's forced to stand, he does have power to where you have to respect him, but he's just not really that technically that good of a striker. The only other thing I want to say is that he has three professional MMA losses. Jack Della by split, Evan Kutz by split, Richard Williams by split. He also has a win against Anthony Ivy by split. Like this dude goes to split decision all the fucking time, mainly because he goes out there and wins round one and loses round three, and then round two is the deciding factor. So just keep an eye on this fight. If it goes to decision, it may not. Most of that is probably going to be reliant on Oban Elliott. I think Oban Elliott's a very, very good fighter, especially at 26 years old, coming from Wales. He's with that camp with Jack Shore. Dude's a really, really good fighter. He just has a problem, the same problem Basil has, his chin, man. I've never seen. I talked about Basil getting rocked in like three fights. Oban Elliott has 13 career fights. I promise you, I think he's been rocked in 11 of them. Like I'm not kidding you at all. This dude, even the fights he wins, he is on death's door at least once. Like this dude's chin, he is destined to get knocked out. It's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when. But when he's not trying to figure out where he is in the octagon, he is a good striker. Or he's an okay striker, but he is a good jiu-jitsu practitioner. He is a good wrestler. He's rocking a 72% takedown defense. And he fought people like Preston Parsons, who are actually pretty decent wrestlers. So that 52 actually makes sense. Or sorry, 72 makes sense. I don't like how low he keeps his hands, especially fighting Basil, who hits extremely hard. Um, but Basil is a grappler with decent power on the feet. Is not a great striker, but has decent power on the feet. But good jiu-jitsu and a good wrestler, short, compact. That's exactly what Preston Parsons is. He's a good wrestler, good jiu-jitsu, not very good on the feet, but hits very hard, short, compact. So Oban just fought the same exact type of fighter, and he went out there and won a decision. He was able to keep it on the feet, and then he was able to stuff every single takedown and dominate because he's the technically better striker. I can see him doing the exact same thing to Basil. It should be the exact same game plan. I understand why he's the favorite. Do I like him at minus 245? No. I'll be forced to parlay him, and that's scary because again he gets rocked on every single fight. Just go ahead and guarantee you are going to sweat this out. But all in all, I can't not bet the better fighter. The pick is going to be Oban Elliott. The bet's going to be Oban Elliott. Next fight of the night. We are going at someone who just fought Basil Hafez in his last fight. We have Mickey Gall as a favorite in 2024 at minus 125, going up against Ramiz Brahimaj at plus 105. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 180. Under 2.5 at plus 140. Let's go ahead and start with Ramiz Brahimaj. He sucks. He's not very good. He's 31 years old. And again, this fight card is in New York, and Ramiz is originally from the Bronx, so he is the hometown kid here. But not a lot of weight. Mickey Gall's in Jersey, right next door. So I don't know if the crowd will be split, if they'll support Ramiz. I don't really know. I don't think it really matters because he's one dimensional. He's a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. He has 10 career wins, and all 10 are by finish, all 10 are by submission. The dude is a world-class grappler, but he's not a very good wrestler. He's a god-awful striker. He's pretty durable. He's too tough for his own good. But even his takedown defense, 44% takedown defense, very low volume, very hittable, bad cardio. Like there's nothing good about his jiu-jitsu. There's nothing good about his game outside of his jiu-jitsu. He's very one-dimensional. He is a jiu-jitsu fighter. He's a jiu-jitsu practitioner that just happens to do MMA. He is not a complete MMA fighter. On the other side, we have a complete MMA fighter in Mickey Gall, just not a very good one. He's 32 years old. He himself has pretty solid jiu-jitsu. His striking has been much improved from what we've seen in the past. He's a better striker now, but he's not anything to write home about by any means. Again, I don't know if the crowd will be against him. He's from Jersey. He's not far away. But like Ramiz, he's very hittable on the feet. Like Ramiz, he has bad takedown defense, 37% takedown defense. And like Ramiz, he does have a tendency to slow down in his fights. So neither one of these guys can strike. Neither one of these guys can wrestle. Both of them are good on the ground. Both of them gas out. That's what we have here. I don't really want to pick this fight. I don't. I guess it's essentially a dog or pass. I'll say Gall is the better striker, so I'll pick Gall to win. But I can't bet him in good faith. Like I can't bet Mickey Gall as a favorite. He's 7-6 for fuck's sake. On the other side, Ramiz Brahimaj has like one win in the UFC, and it's against someone that got cut right away. So I don't know. The pick is going to be Mickey Gall. The bet would just be the dog, and at this instance, it's going to be Ramiz Brahimaj. Very, very little exposure. Next fight of the night, we have Marcin Tybura at minus 130 going up against Jonita Denise at plus 110. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 140. Sorry, over 1.5 minus 140. Under 1.5 at plus 110. Let's start with Marcin Tybura. He's someone I think is pretty solid. Only problem with Marcin Tybura is that he's 39 years old and he's starting to show it. That is not young. I know it's not as bad in heavyweight, but even at heavyweight, 39 is pretty fucking old. He is okay striking. He has pretty solid jiu-jitsu. It's good jiu-jitsu. His wrestling's okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's serviceable. It depends on who he's fighting. His cardio's good for heavyweight. That checks out. He can go a hard 15 minutes. Like, not a solid 15 minutes, not a good 15 minutes. He can go a hard 15 minutes. Problem with him is that he's chinny. Granted, it's heavyweight, and any heavyweight can knock out any heavyweight. But if you're fast and young and explosive, he does struggle. Tom Aspinall knocked him out quick. Alexander Volkov pieced him up. He's a really good striker. Augusta Sakai went out there, pieced him up real quick. Shamil went out there, knocked him out. Derek Lewis went out there, knocked him out. Mauricio Verdum is a very well-rounded, good fighter, former champion. But Doctor Stoppage, even in the regional scene or in round three, all of his losses outside of two of them are by knockout. And then actually, he just got submitted in his last fight by an armbar from guard. That's concerning, very, very concerning. So I don't know. He's overall a good fighter, but he's just 39 years old, has a little bit of a chin issue, and sometimes he has to rely on the wrestling, contingent on who he's fighting. That's definitely the case here. Jonata Denise is a young heavyweight at 33 years old, who is a striker through and through. He is just like Israel Adesanya. He is just like Alex Pereira. He is a Glory MMA, or sorry, Glory kickboxing striker. He comes straight from the Glory scene, world class kickboxing. Now, was he the greatest? Was he a champ or anything of that magnitude? No, but he has been kickboxing and striking his entire life. He does have some decent power on him. He'll have an inch and a half reach advantage in this matchup. All of that is great. His cardio, he can go 15 minutes. He's not as good as Marcin Tybura, but he can go 15 minutes. All of that looks good. Now, the 70% takedown defense that it's currently showing, that looks great, but you also have to see who he was fighting. Carl Williams is a 205-pound former track star, so he's not exactly the world's greatest wrestler. I know he has a lot of takedowns at heavyweight, and there was also that controversy where they told Carl Williams not to wrestle Denise. There was a lot of weird stuff going on with that fight. And then he fought Austin Lane, who took him down with ease, and Austin Lane is a former tight end in the NFL. So yeah, 70% takedown defense against someone that's not allowed to wrestle you, who ran track, and then someone who played football his entire career. So 70 is actually not a good number for those two people. Marcin should be able to take him down. Now, Marcin does back up, and Denise does move forward. So that's not the greatest look for the judges. Denise is probably going to have the more visual appealing shots. Denise definitely has a chance of knocking him out at any point in this fight. It's just a matter of, can Marcin get the takedown? Because if Marcin gets the takedown, Denise is in some trouble. And Marcin knows. He went out there and he took down Spivak. He went down and he took down Taito Ivasa right away. He knows the path to victory is to take the big power strikers down. He's not a fucking idiot. He knows what he has to do. He's wrestling his ass off in camp right now, I promise you. So I would personally pick the experience in Tybura. That's just, I've seen him fight big power strikers before and get the job done. So I'll go ahead and I'll pick Tybura. Do I want to bet it? No. I'm just going to bet the under 1.5 because I think that he can sub Denise. Denise has no idea what's going on the ground. When Austin Lane did get him down, he just held him. There was no get up game. There was nothing. He literally just held on to Austin Lane as hard as he could and let the whole 5 minutes drain. That's exactly what he did. He was just hoping for a ref stand up. He has no jiu-jitsu whatsoever. So Marcin will submit him if he takes him down. And if Marcin can't take him down, he's fucked. Denise is going to knock him out real quick. So either way, you're covering yourself on both sides. I'm taking that under. I know 2.5 is safe, but I don't think it goes 1.5, and it's plus money. So the pick is Tybura. The bet's going to be the under 1.5 at plus money. Next fight of the night, we have Jim fucking Miller at plus 140 going up against the Leech, Damon Jackson at minus 170. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 290. Under 1.5 at plus 220. Let's start with the Leech because he is making his lightweight debut. He is someone that generally fights at 145, but he's going up to 155 for this fight. And I think that's a good move for him in general. He always looks like death on the scale. And secondly, Jim Miller, someone that used to fight at featherweight. So he's fighting a fellow featherweight up a weight class. So this is going to be good for David Jackson. He has really good jiu-jitsu. He has okay wrestling, and that's where the compliments stop. He has very low volume. He's very hittable. He's very chinny. He slows down a ton, and he has 37% takedown defense. He's 36 years old. He has nothing going for him outside of good jiu-jitsu and okay wrestling. If he's a better wrestler than you, he will take you down, slap on that body triangle, and hang out. That's it. I know he shows a weird win over Pat Sabatini by knockout. That's an anomaly. Uh, but Billy Q is a good jiu-jitsu practitioner, has world-class cardio, and was able to just stand back up. So Damon Jackson ultimately lost that fight. Chepe Mariscal is a better wrestler than Damon Jackson, so he ultimately lost that fight. Dan Ige is a pretty decent wrestler in his own right. I know everyone always wants to take down Dan Ige as a route to victory. But Danny Gay had pretty decent. He's gotten a lot better with his takedown defense. He was able to stuff the takedowns, then ultimately got the knockout, and he lost the fight. Ilya Taporia is a better wrestler than David Jackson. Was able to keep it on the feet. Ultimately got the knockout. He won the fight. Every single one of his losses in the UFC, he lost because he could not get the takedown. Alexander Hernandez, he could get the takedown. Pat Sabatini, that weird knockout. Dan Argueta, he could get the takedown over the smaller guy. Kamala Kirk, he can get the takedown. Charles Rosa, he can get the. It's all about the takedown. Can he take down Jim fucking Miller? Answer's probably yes. To be honest with you, Jim Miller's rocking a 47% takedown defense, which is the greatest number going. Jim Miller, I made fun of Damon Jackson being 36. Jim Miller's fucking 41. Here's the difference. Jim Miller has really, really good jiu-jitsu, probably better jiu-jitsu than Damon Jackson. So if Damon does get him down, he is playing with fire. On the feet, Jim Miller's the much better striker, and he hits very, very hard. In regards to cardio, Jim Miller has the better cardio. So it really comes down to the takedown. What if Jim Miller goes out there and takes down David Jackson? He will wrestle. That is something that he has in his back pocket. Jim Miller has more ways to win this fight. I don't like that he's 41 years old. I hate the 47% takedown defense. And I hate how he's kind of hittable on the feet as well. But Jim Miller hits hard, and he's not chinny. David Jackson is chinny. So at the end of the day, if it's a 50-50 thought process in regards to the wrestling, and Jim Miller is the better striker, the better jiu-jitsu practitioner, has the better cardio, I got to go that route. Will David Jackson's cardio be better at 115? Very well could be. I would not be shocked if David Jackson won this fight. I don't have a lot of confidence in Jim Miller in this fight. But on paper, as of right now, he has the better cardio, he has the better jiu-jitsu, he has the better striking, he has more power, he has the better chin. It's just, can David Jackson take him down and hold him down? We'll find out, but I'll have money on the other side. The pick is going to be Jim Miller. The bet is going to be Jim fucking Miller. Next fight of the night, we have your boy Eric Anders at minus 135 going up against Chris Weidman at plus 115. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 at minus 225. Under 2.5 at plus 175. Let's start with your boy Eric Anders. He's someone I'm not impressed with as of late. He's 37 years old and he's slowing. That's just the way life goes. He himself has good jujitsu. It just seems to be a common theme here. He has good jujitsu. He has okay wrestling. His striking's not the greatest, but it's okay. He does hit hard though. It's one of those where his power definitely carries and kind of masks his technique. Now, don't get me wrong, he's pretty hittable on the feet himself, but he does have 80% takedown defense, which is very important in this matchup. He does pressure forward with a ton of power. So again, even if it does hit the ground, he has been doing a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions as of late. So his jiu-jitsu is okay. But if he wants to keep this on the feet, He should be able to with that 80% takedown defense. And when they are on the feet, the dude hits hard. Although it's not technical, it's good enough. On the other side, we have Chris Weidman, who will most certainly have the crowd behind him. That's a positive. He'll have a 3-inch reach advantage. That's a positive. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has good wrestling. He has okay striking. Problem is, he's 40 years old. He's pretty slow at this point. He's pretty chinny. He's just an old man. I talked about people getting old. He's old. He's very hittable on the feet. He himself has a 65% takedown defense. So if your boy wanted to just take him down, he probably could. If your boy wanted to just stand and bang, probably could. Weidman needs a takedown and to stay on top of your boy because I don't trust 40-year-old Weidman to strike with some of that hits as hard as Eric Anders right now. I know the fact that Weidman is even fighting after that horrific leg injury is an inspiration, but I think this is where it ends. I think Eric Anders is probably going to knock out your boy Chris Weidman. So the pick is going to be Eric Anders. The bet's going to be Eric Anders. And honestly, I don't hate the under. I think he's going to finish him. Under 2.5 at plus 175. That's a pretty good line against someone that's a power striker fighting a 40-year-old. Next fight of the night, we are looking at Jonathan Martinez at plus 115, going up against Marcus McGee at minus 135. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 175. Under 2.5 at plus 135. Let's go ahead and start with Marcus McGee. He trains over at the MMA Lab, and he's a 135 pounder. So that means he's training with Kyler Phillips, with Sean O'Malley, with Mario Batista every single day. And it shows he's a very good striker, like all of them. He's pretty decent on the ground, like all of them. And he throws a ton of volume, like all of them. 100% takedown defense. He's hard to take down. 100% finish rate. Dude has 9 wins, all 9 by finish. His level of competition's a little questionable. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he fought JP Buys, who's really a flyweight. He fought Journey Newsom, who is a known gasser on short notice. He fought his best win may be Gaston Bolaños, and we just bet on Gaston last week and won money on Gaston. Uh, but he's not good. Gaston is not a really good fighter. So if that's your best win, that's a little questionable. It's nice that he knocked him out because Gaston is a decent striker. But again, that's his level of competition was not very good. The other thing I don't like about Marcus McGee is that I watched him fight Gaston in his last fight. He didn't check any leg kicks. That's not good because Martinez is notorious for throwing leg kicks. He has 2 wins by leg kick. There's only 15 leg kick finishes in the UFC, and Martinez has 2 of them. So you should probably check kicks, Marcus McGee. He is okay power. He keeps his hands very low. I don't like that. I don't know how chinny he is. I'm not really seeing him get hit at all. But his hands are very low, so that's concerning. And I'm concerned about his cardio. I have no idea if it's good or bad or not. All of his wins, 100% finish rate. They're all going to the first or second round. I've never seen him. He's been in the third round one time, and it was 35 seconds in. He got a guillotine choke. So he has 10 career fights. He went to the third round one time, but he does have some amateur fights. And in those amateur fights, he went to decision and he lost those. Is it because he gassed out? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. And I was talking about is he chinny? I don't know, but he did get submitted in his one career loss. So he does have some question marks on him. He's not a young prospect. He's 34 years old. He started real late, so I don't think this is the finished product. And this is a good product we have right now. You just do have to be a little concerned about just the ceiling of Marcus McGee if he's finding the right guy. I don't know if Jonathan Martinez is that guy. I'm very complexed. I'm very 50-50 on it. Martinez is 30 years old. He trained at Factory X Muay Thai. I don't know if he's still there. I don't know if he's a raw dogger. I don't know who he's with at this point. Actually, I lied. I looked it up. He was training with Diego Lopez. This is where his training camp was this week. I know I said I didn't know. I did look it up for that reason. Iridium, I believe it's called where Grasso and Diego Lopez and all of them are. He's 30 years old. He's fought the better level of competition. He beat Saeed Nurmagomedov. He beat Cub Swanson. He beat He beat Vince Morales, Adrian Yanez. Like he fought some really, really good guys. He lost his last fight, but it was to Jose fucking Aldo in Brazil. So, I mean, No shame there. He has pretty sneaky good jiu-jitsu, 70% takedown defense, so he's not easy to take down. Marcus McGee will try to mix in a takedown here or there just to keep you guessing, but Jonathan Martinez should be able to stuff it. The problem with Jonathan Martinez is cardio's okay. Problem is his chin. Dude gets chin checked all the fucking time. He got rocked in the Jose Aldo fight. He got rocked in the Saeed Nurmagomedov fight. He got rocked in the Alejandro Perez fight. He got actually KO'd in the Davy Grant fight. He got rocked in the Andre Ewell fight. He gets rocked all the fucking time. He's one of these guys that have one of these chins where he's not going out, but you touch him and he is doing the stanky leg all over the place. It's not good. He's another split decision guy. There's a whole bunch of splits because he's over here winning fights and then doing the stanky leg. So he's a really good striker. Again, decent enough wrestling to keep it on the feet. McGee prefers to strike anyway, so I think this is striker versus striker. Martinez is technically the better striker. Marcus McGee throws a little more volume and is in your face the whole time. So it's really going to be probably the judge's perception, unless McGee decides he still doesn't want to check leg kicks. In that instance, he's fucked. So I don't know. I think it's a very, very close fight. I think it's the closest fight on the card. I don't really want to pick a side. I'd probably just take the over 2.5 as a bet. But at this point, I don't know. Fuck it. I'll go ahead and I'll pick Jonathan Martinez and I'll bet Jonathan Martinez just because of the level of competition. Sheer level of competition. That's the only reason. Marcus McGee, this is a prove it spot to me. I'll bet against you until you prove it here. Speaking of prove it spots, next fight of the night, we have James Lollentop at plus 600 going up against Mauricio Hufi at minus 1,000. Over other set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 155. Under 1.5 at plus 120. Uh, let's start with Rufy. Rufy is everyone's darling. Everyone's comparing him to Conor McGregor because of his debut back at UFC 301. He's one of the fighting nerds who are currently like 15-0 in the UFC. It's insane. They do not lose. He's 28 years old. He's 10-1. 2-inch reach advantage here. And yes, he does have very good striking. He has 100% takedown defense. He is very, very difficult to get down to the ground. The few times people on the regionals, he did get him down. He got right back up. He's very urgent to stand back up. He does have good jiu-jitsu in his back pocket. He throws a ton of volume, hits decently hard. He's very flashy, a lot of flying knees, a lot of interesting trips. Prefers to counter, though. So he does have pretty decent volume right now, but that's because he keeps fighting. He fought Jamie Mularkey, okay? Jamie Mularkey is someone with zero head movement that pressures forward and just swings. So he gave him the ability to counter and look very, very good. The other thing with that Jamie Mularkey fight is that it was his UFC debut in his home country of Brazil. He had the crowd chanting, "He's going to kill you," or whatever they chant. It was a home. It was a home fight. Literally, it was a home fight against the perfect opponent. So people need to cool their jets with this minus 1,000 with their Conor McGregor comparisons. I mean, Hoofy's a pretty decent striker, but he keeps his hands low and he gets clipped all the time. In fact, his one career loss was by knockout. I watched it. He was cocky as shit and he got knocked out. So he's not the guy you think he is. He is not, in my opinion, at 145. He's not the guy that's going to come in, talk trash like Connor, be real flashy, and ultimately fight a top 10 guy his next fight. He will get hurt against these guys in the top 10 right now. He's 28 years old. He's almost a finished product, but he needs a little more work, a little more help. They need to not push him too soon. He's there to get got. Minus 1,000 for Rufy is a mistake. And honestly, even in the contender series fight, he was fighting a Russian that strikes, doesn't wrestle, a striking Russian. And he was out there and he was down 2 rounds. It was 2-0. And Rufy went out there and got the third round KO. Good on him. He didn't quit. I had money on him on that fight. All the power to Rufy. Good cardio, good heart. But he was down 2-0 and his opponent gassed. What if his opponent didn't gas? Like this hype, the minus 1,000 needs to chill. I am ready to bet against Rufy. I just don't know if it's Saturday, man. James Lolentop, he's coming in on short notice. I forgot who he was supposed to fight originally. It was another can, honestly. It was who was it? Charlie Campbell. That would have been interesting. That would have been it. But Charlie Campbell also has a bad chin. So they're trying to set up Rufy here. James Law on top. He doesn't have a bad chin. He's pretty durable. He has pretty good cardio. He's pretty good striking himself. I mean, he went tit for tat with Slava Klaus, who's a really good striker. So that did impress me a little bit. He's only 25, so he's going to get better and better each time. And again, he's from Peru, so he's used to being at elevation, which just ultimately helps his cardio. He throws a ton of volume, a lot more than Rufy. All of that's really good, but he does have some cons. First con, short notice. Second con, he has a face tattoo, so that's an automatic L. Third con, he's there to get hit. He doesn't really believe in head movement either. 54% takedown defense, zero jiu-jitsu whatsoever. So if Rufy wanted to go out there and show that he's a good grappler, this would be a good time because Top has no idea what's going on. Is he going to do that? No. He's going to go out there, get flashy. He's going to buy his own hype. He's going to do some crazy flying knees and spinning back elbows and shit and try to get the knockout. This 25-year-old kid isn't going anywhere. I don't think you're going to knock him out. I don't hate the over in this matchup, to be honest with you, especially with it being 1.5. I think this thing might go the distance, and that's probably plus money. Um, I can't bet Rufy at minus 1,000. I can't. And I want to bet against him with these high numbers, but not with Lol and Top. Lol and Top is there to be had. So I'm actually just staring at these over. And if you really want to play it safe, again, I'll pick Rufy, but the bet would be the over 1.5. And if you want to get wild, you want to get some plus money, I think this thing can go the distance. It's hard to knock out young kids. The younger you are, the harder it is to knock you out. It's just statistically proven. This kid's 25 years old. He's young. He's Peruvian. He has good cardio. The better cardio you have, the harder it is to knock you out at times. So he has a lot of good things going for him. I don't hate the fight to go the distance, but let's play it safe. Let's take the over. So the pick is going to be Rufy. The bet's going to be the over 1.5. Don't bet Rufy at minus 1,000. Next fight of the night, we have Viviana Rougeau at plus 225 going up against Karine Silva at plus two or minus 275. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 285. Under 2.5 at plus 215. Let's start with Karine Silva. She's someone else that I really, really, really want to fade. It just has to be the right person. Karine Silva has really good jiu-jitsu. She's 30 years old, so she's in her prime. Her wrestling has gotten better. I'll give her credit. Her striking has gotten better. I'll give her credit. She hits decently hard. She's rocking girls left and right when she throws. She doesn't throw a lot. She has very low volume. She's very hittable when she is on the feet. Her cardio is not the greatest. She has a propensity to slow down in her fights. Again, she's really just a jiu-jitsu girl. She wants to get you down to the ground and she wants to sub you. And she's very good on the ground. I'll give her credit. She's very good on the ground. She will take your leg home. She will take your neck home. She's sending girls to the hospitals. She tore the poor one girl's Ketlin Souza. She tore her leg in half in like 30 seconds. She's a mean girl, man. She's good. She's very good. But she's overrated a little bit. I think she has all the talent in the world. She's fought an okay level of competition. I do think she's a very good fighter. I think she should be a ranked fighter. It's just if she runs into someone that's just as good on the ground and is a better wrestler, Silva's in trouble because she doesn't have good striking. She's very hittable. She doesn't have good cardio. So if she has someone that can stuff, she runs into someone that can stuff those takedowns. She has some stuff coming to her. She kind of has that in Viviana Rougeau. Viviana Rougeau has 80% takedown defense, and she's been in the UFC a while. She's historically very hard to take down. Has very good hips. She has good striking on the feet. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so she knows what's going on the ground. She herself will mix in some takedowns. Fought a good level of competition. She fought the champ in Alexa Grasso. I mean, even if you just look at her losses, she lost to Natalia Silva, who is like a top 5 girl right now. She lost to Alexa Grasso, the former champion. Jessica I, she gassed out. That's not a good look. Amanda Hebas is a top 15 girl. That's it. Those are the guys. And she got Chukagian. And Chukagian has been a top 5 fighter in the weight class for like 10 years. She's just always going to be number 5. So yeah, I mean, she has a good level of competition. She does everything well. She pressures forward. She starts really fast. The problem with Vivi is that she's 37 years old and she's starting to get a little chinny with her being 37 years old. She's not getting knocked out at all, but I'm seeing her rocked in a few of her fights, and her cardio is not great. She does slow down on her fights. So don't get me wrong, Silva gasses out too. Vivi might gas out just a touch earlier. I think Vivi probably wins round one. 80% takedown defense. I think she stuffs everything. I think she dominates on the feet. Round two, she's going to start to slow. Round three, she's going to be real tired. Silva in round one's going to get lit up. Round two, she's probably going to start to slow. Round three, she's going to be real tired. But is she going to be able to get the takedowns over tired Vivi? Is she also has the option of catching Vivi. Because again, she's 37 years old. That chin started to deteriorate. Silva's not a good striker, but she does hit hard. So I do think Silva has more ways to win. I do think she should be the favorite. I do think she should be the pick. The problem is this fucking line plus 225 for the person that's fought the better level of competition and will probably win round one and just has to sneak one more round in there. That's insane. Like 225 is nuts. So the pick is going to be Silva. The only way to bet it is Vivi. That's extreme value. This line is off. Next fight of the night, we have what it's the main event for some people. We have Bo Nickel making his return at minus 1,300, going up against Paul Craig at plus 700. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 plus 150. Under 1.5 at minus 190. Let's start with Bo in case you don't know Bo. He's 6-0. Bo is 6-0. World class wrestling. And when I say world class, I mean Olympic level world class wrestling. Dude is legit. Best wrestler in the UFC currently, hands down. No questions asked. That includes Hamzat. Like he is better than Hamzat when it comes to sheer wrestling. MMA wrestling to be determined, but it seems to be going well so far. His striking, he trains at ATT, and you can see that he's doing a good job with it. He has a few knockouts on his record. He has some sneaky power. He seems to hit decently hard. Uh, his jiu-jitsu is good. He's been doing jiu-jitsu competitions since he was in Penn State wrestling. So again, good jiu-jitsu. He's an okay jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's an okay striker. He has some decent power on him. Very good wrestling, and it seems like his cardio is good. All of his wins are in round one, but he did go to round two against Cody Brundage last time out. And he was not breathing heavy whatsoever. So I think even if he can't go five, I mean, he literally was still breathing out of his nose with just a minute 30 left in round two. He didn't look tired whatsoever. So I would say he has a solid 15 in him, a good 15 in him. I don't know. We just don't know a lot about him. He's 6-0. We know he's a great wrestler, and he finishes everyone in 1 minute. So what do we really know? We know about Paul Craig. We know that he's not great. He's 36 years old. He has world class jiu-jitsu. He can submit anyone at any point. He is the only man to defeat Magomed Ankalaev. He had that submission with literally 1 second left in the fight. He got the submission, that triangle. That's his claim to fame. All he does is submit people. He submitted Magomed Ankalaev. He submitted Jamal Hill. He's submitting everyone left and right. If you go down to the ground, he will tap you out. But that's it. He's a terrible striker. He's 36 years old. He has a really bad chin. He has really bad cardio. He has 37% takedown defense. He can't strike to save his life. He's very physically slow. He's very hittable. He's very low volume. He can't strike. He's literally another one of these guys that are just a jiu-jitsu guy that are in MMA. Now, he's learned guard pulling in MMA, so that part does scare me. So what do? Do you take the young 6-0 prospect? He's 28 years old. Is he going to display his striking in this matchup? Because we don't know how good it is. We truly don't. Or is he going to take down Paul Craig and play with fire? I don't know how Bo goes about this fight. I know he should be the favorite. I don't like minus 1,300. Again, Paul Craig has tapped out multiple champions, literally. At 205. This is at 185. I don't want to trust Bo Nickel down there on the ground with Paul Craig. I don't want to trust Bo Nickel striking when we have no idea how good it truly is. But I do know that Paul Craig can't strike. I don't know if Bo can strike. I know Paul can. I don't know if Bo has a chin. I know Paul does not. I don't know if Bo can go 15 minutes. I know Paul cannot. So at the end of the day, you have to go Bo, but you can't trust him at minus 1,300. You have to pick a total here. So the pick is going to be Bo. The bet's going to be the under, and I'm just going to juice it. I'm going to tease it. I'm going to take the under 2.5 because there's a lot of unknown in this fight. Pick his bow. Bet is under 2.5. Take that alternative total. Next fight of the night is our 5 round co-main event of the evening, and it's a rematch between Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler. Charles Chucky O, we have Bronx at minus 265 going up against Michael Chandler at plus 215. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 110. Under 1.5 minus 120. The reason it's set at 1.5 is because the first fight ended a few seconds into the second round. Let's start with Charles Chucky O. de Bronx Oliveira. He's on a 3 fight losing skid, which is interesting considering he was the former champion. Oh, sorry, not he's not on the 3 fight losing skid. I forgot he beat Beneil Dariush along the way. So again, sorry, he just lost Armin Sarukian. Recant what I just said. He's 35 years old. That shocked me. I didn't realize how old Charles is because that's when people start to deteriorate. 35, you start getting nervous. He has a 2.5 inch reach advantage here. World class jiu-jitsu, most submissions in UFC history. If you go down to the ground with this guy, you are playing with hot fire. You're playing with lava. His wrestling's good. He can get you down to the ground if he wants you to. His striking's very good. He hits very hard. He's a little hittable, don't get me wrong, and he's a little chinny. You can knock out Charles Oliveira. He gets stunned in all of his fights. I mean, you could take down Charles Oliveira. Armin Sarukian took him down and stayed safe. Beneil took him down, did not stay safe. Islam Makhachev took him down, stayed safe. Gaethje rocked him. Islam rocked him. Poirier rocked him. Chandler rocked him. Dude gets rocked in every single one of his fights as well. But that was his kind of trademark for that little miracle run we had. The de Bronx era where he was winning every single fight. He got knocked out in every single fight, would come back and beat you. That's what he did over and over and over again. His cardio's never been great, but he keeps getting all these finishes in round 2 and round 1, so it doesn't matter. Poirier went into round 3, but let's not forget he does not have the greatest cardio. He will slow down. He has not the greatest cardio. He doesn't have a good chin, but he's good everywhere. On the other side, we have Michael Chandler, who we talked about 35 being a problem. He's 38. Dude's old as shit. Another problem is ring rust. He has not fought in 2 years because of Conor McGregor. He's been waiting for the Conor fight, and finally he decided I have to fight because Conor is never going to fight me, which is true. He is okay striking, really good wrestling. He has good jiu-jitsu, very underrated jiu-jitsu. Problem with him is that he also is chinny and also slows down in his fights. He has constant pressure. Has fought a good level of competition, just like Charles. He has a lot of good wins on his record, a lot of bad wins on his record, or bad losses on his record. He's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. The problem is Michael Chandler came into the UFC at 34 years old. And he decided, I'm going to go out there and not be the best in the world. I'm going to be the most exciting in the world. People that are casuals, people that have been diehard just for a little bit, people that didn't know Bellator Chandler don't know how truly good he is. Bellator Chandler could beat Champ, hands down. Bellator Chandler beat UFC champions. He beat Eddie Alvarez multiple times. Bellator champion or Bellator Chandler was one of the best lightweights on the planet for like a decade. Hands down. He was good. He might have been the best lightweight at one point. But again, he's 34 years old, coming into the UFC, knowing that he is at the end of his road. So what is he doing? He's going out there and putting on bangers. He is a wrestler. He is a good jiu-jitsu practitioner. He has a ton of God-given power, but his striking is not his forte. What does he do in the UFC? Strikes with everybody. He's doing crazy shit. He's knocking out Tony Ferguson with front legs, with fucking front kicks, and he's going out there. Charles Oliveira had his back in their first fight, and he just literally jumps in the air backwards and tries to slam Charles while doing a backflip. Like, Michael Chandler's out there as a wild man. He's getting rocked in his fights and then standing up and telling you to hit him again and walking towards you with his hands down. He is a fucking madman out there. Bellator Michael Chandler kills Charles Oliveira. I'm saying it right now. But at 38 years old, are we going to get Bellator Chandler? Is he going to take it seriously for one last hurrah and try to get that belt? Or Is he realizing I'm 38 years old? I'm shitty as fuck now. Am I just going to go out there and try to get the 50K and get paid? I don't know what version we're going to get, but it sounds per his interviews like it's Bellator Chandler coming back. And if it's Bellator Chandler who's willing to wrestle and just play in Charles Oliveira's guard, if it's Bellator Chandler who's willing to rock Charles Oliveira and then go into the guard instead of trying to get the knockout and do backflips off the cage, Bellator Chandler can win this fight at plus 215. He's 38 years old. He hasn't fought in 2 years. I don't trust it. Charles should win. But if it's Bellator Chandler, that odds insane. In the first fight, it was him plus 100. He was plus 100 in the first fight, and he rocked Charles Oliveira. He was like 4 strikes away from winning the world title. Oliveira had no idea where he was on his back. Chandler on top of him throwing haymakers. Charles Oliveira got his bearings back, ultimately got back up and got the knockout. Because Chandler doesn't have a chin. He never had a chin. So again, it sounds like Bellator Chandler. It really does in all of his interviews. He's talking about trying to fight for the belt. I believe him. I'll take the ride one last time. Pick is gonna be Charles Oliveira. He should win this fight. But if Bellator Chandler comes out for one last ride, I'll take the plus money. Pick is Oliveira, bets Bellator Chandler, Michael Chandler, plus 215. And that takes us to the main event. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button. Give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok. And thank you for all the support. We'll continue to win some money. We have John Bones Jones, the return at minus 650, going up against Stipe Miocic at plus 470. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5, minus 160. Under 1.5, plus 125. Let's start with Stipe Miocic. I talked about people being old. This dude is 42 years old. Goodness gracious. In his prime, he had good striking, he had good wrestling, he had good cardio. His jiu-jitsu has never been great. 70% takedown defense is pretty solid. He's fought a great level of competition. I mean, he's a former champion, former two-time champion. Problem I have with Stipe, outside of him being 42, his jiu-jitsu is really not that great. He's there to be had on the ground. And if you're on the feet, he's also there to be had. He is 20-4. All 4 losses are by KO. Dude's low-key chinny. And it's not just like he got knocked out. He got knocked out by Daniel Cormier, who is a perennial 205 pounder. He got knocked out by Stefan Struve, who has like 0 knockouts on his record. He's a 7-foot jiu-jitsu practitioner. Like, these aren't guys that should be going out there and knocking you out. Now, Francis, okay, that's fine. JDS, that's fine. But again, he has 4 knockouts, and two of them are to a jiu-jitsu practitioner, and one is to a jiu-jitsu practitioner with no muscle, and to a 205 pounder. So, and I've seen him rocked multiple times before. Let's not forget the Alistair Overeem fight. He had no idea where he was. He got rocked in the Verdum fight. He got rocked in multiple fights before. So, yeah, the dude doesn't have the greatest chin on earth. He's 42 years old. That chin can't be getting better. Luckily, he's fighting John Jones, who also doesn't hit hard. He doesn't hit hard at all. And he's also old. He's 37 years old. But unlike Stipe, he has really, really good jiu-jitsu. He has a 4.5-inch reach advantage, which is something Stipe is not used to overcoming, is a reach advantage. John Jones is a much better wrestler. He has great wrestling. He's taken down Olympians like Daniel Cormier. He has really good jiu-jitsu. He has really good striking. I think John is the cleaner striker. John is clearly the better wrestler. He's clearly the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. They both have good cardio. They both have a great schedule. John is 96% takedown defense. He's been in the UFC for 17 years. He's been taken down 1 time. I don't see Stipe taking him down. So if this is a striking affair, Stipe has a chance. He truly does. John looked slow at heavyweight. I didn't like what I saw in the Cyril Gane fight. I know it's hard to say he didn't look good when he went out there and he got a 2-minute submission. But Cyril Gane has no idea what's going on the ground. And John's body just looked weird. That tall, lanky, skinny body was like the best body for MMA. Fat John, it looked weird. It didn't look very comfortable. He looked kind of slow out there. I wasn't a fan of what I saw on the feet from Fat John, but Stipe's 42 years old, man. I think John might wrestle. I think that's the easiest route to victory. Stipe will not be able to stop John Jones' jiu-jitsu. He won't. He physically can't. And if they decide to strike the whole time, John Jones has that reach advantage. John Jones probably outstrikes him. John Jones is the greatest fighter ever walked this planet. But again, I don't like 37-year-old heavyweight John Jones. I don't like that. I want him to wrestle. If he goes out here and wrestles, he wins. If he goes out here and strikes, I think he's playing with fire. But he will have the crowd behind him. That's the other thing. He's probably retiring. Both these guys are probably retiring after this. So at the end of the day, you're never going to bet against John Jones. He's the greatest fighter ever. So the pick is going to be John Jones. The bet, I'm really feeling the under for absolutely no reason whatsoever. But I think he might go out there and say, wow, that Ciro fight was easy. I'm going to wrestle again and I'm going to sub Stipe. Why? Because Stipe's never been subbed. And I think John would like to be the one to go out there and finish it and make it look easy. So pick is John. The bet, I don't hate the under. I might be safe and take the under 2.5, though, probably. I'll take the under 2.5. Pick is John. I'm going to take that alternative total and take the under 2.5. And that's UFC 309. Again, it's not the greatest card on earth, but it's not terrible. It's a fight card. And when you're making money, every fight card is good. So let's go out. Let's give this video a like, hit the smash the like, hit the subscribe. Let's make some money, baby. Let's get after it.